We hold no negative judgment about where you are at all. Because it just doesn't matter, because everybody is where they are on their way to something that they like more. So who gets to be the giant judge in the sky that gets to say, oh, you should be further along? So when you try to find that place, as we find it, the reason that you feel this lightening up is because where you are doesn't matter. It doesn't matter no matter what. It doesn't matter no matter how big it is in relationship to where you want to be. And once you get that, then you really are free. Then you're free. So now, let's get specifically positive. Just because we want to demonstrate to ourselves, we're speaking for you, I want to show myself that I can feel good without anything changing that I'm responding to other than my own thought. It's my changing thought that brings my emotional manifestational response, not the change of circumstances. It's the change of thought. So I like giving myself the label of someone who was born with eagerness. And I'm happy that I still have enough memory of that eagerness that I know something's off when I don't have it. That's a really good sign. My guidance system must be well intact. Eagerness is an interesting thing. We're speaking from your point of view. Eagerness means frisky. It means clarity. It means glad to be alive. It means feeling good in my body. Eagerness is sort of a catch-all word, isn't it? Eagerness and well-being are sort of a synonymous sentiment. I want to be eager about life, which means I want to be up and ready for it. I want to be Johnny on the spot. I want to be at a clear place of rendezvousing. I want to be alive and ready. I want to be good at comebacks. I want to be really quick at conversation. I want to have good timing in traffic. I like moving in my body and have good time. I like being productive in my body. I like it that when I open the cupboard door and something falls out, that I catch it. I really like being tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Is this feeling good to you?
Yes.
I would now like to describe that eagerness that I've been missing as the allowance of the full presence of my inner being within me in my moment in time. That's what eagerness is. Eagerness is a moment in time when I haven't put myself in a vibrational frequency that disallows the fullness of who I am. So all along what I've been yearning for is to be who I came here to be in more moments of my life experience. And of course, it is completely irrational to believe that I could move through life with all of the diversity that is around me on this planet and maintain a perfect record of perfect vibrational frequency with my inner being. That's not even possible, and it is certainly not something that I came forth ever intending to experience. I didn't say, I'll go forth and just remember that vibration, because if you did, you couldn't interact with anyone. You couldn't have a conversation with anyone. You couldn't watch TV, never watch CNN. You couldn't be even in this world if that was the standard or the goal that you had set. But you didn't set that goal. You didn't say, I'll be non-physical energy in a physical body. If that had been your intention to stay in that high frequency, you would not have directed yourself into this environment where there would be contrast that would give you new desires. So the eagerness that you're looking for is to get your eyes off the floorboard and begin looking toward who you really are, or that which you've become. The what isness will always cripple you. It will take you to your knees, because what is never, ever, ever even comes close to who you really are, no matter how good what is. You see? No matter how good what is. There is very little eagerness in what is. It's just not there. What is old news. Eagerness is the new stuff that's coming. That feeling of eagerness, it's recognizing that through life I have become more, that the source part of me is already being it, and knowing that I get to move toward it eternally. That is the definition of eagerness. Understanding that I will always be in any moment in time, whether I'm physical or non-physical focused, because it is the same, although more dramatized in physical. In any moment in time, I will always be less in this moment than I am becoming, and that is the promise of life. Because if you could be all that you are right now, then what? I don't know. I don't feel all that eager. Feel sort of done. Eager is recognizing that you've put something out there and then moving toward it. And nothing is more crippling than letting somebody convince you that you're in a not good place. That there's something wrong with the place you're in. Because there's never anything wrong with the place you're in. And sometimes we think that the worse place you're in any snapshot, the more eagerness is possible. Sometimes you sort it out, you point it out, you ask for it, and we go right there and wait for you to catch up with your own desire. Such an interesting thing. You pick it, we love it, we go there, we revel in it, we live it, we be it, we are it, and you don't come. Because you're so busy justifying why you're not going there. It's hard. It hurts. I don't like it. Somebody should call somebody. You've been listening to us for a while, and you get it, that your emotions are your indicator of how blended you are with that source energy or not. But still, it's easy to let your emotions run away with you. And we want to say that it's not your emotions that are running away with you. It's the specifics of the unwanted. You're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to feel fun. You're supposed to know your power and your wisdom, you see. We're eager to talk to you about anything you want to talk about. We know you have stuff. Do you ever? This is the place where it all began for Jerry and Esther all those years ago. If you do not have contrast, you couldn't focus a desire into being. There would be no asking whatsoever without contrast. None. And yet it's what humans are trying to get rid of. Let's get rid of all of the contrast so we can just be happy. Because if I could just be happy, then I could just be in the vortex. And we say, yes, of course, but the contrast is what's causing you to ask. Step one is ask. That's the difference between you, leading edge creators, and the source within you. You're asking more specifically. Really, there's only now. In the now, you can be thinking about the past. You can be thinking about the present. You can be speculating or thinking about the future, but you're doing it all right now. And the big question is, while I'm doing any of those things now, what's my inner being doing about the thing that I'm doing right here and now? So as I'm thinking about my past and remembering getting beat up on the playground and resenting that rotten kid who beat me up that year and the next year and the next year and the next year and the next year, and I've hated him ever since. Ooh, I have so much resentment about all of that. As I'm thinking about that now, the only question worth asking is, what's my inner being thinking about that right now? Because remember, your inner being is focused where you're focused. The question is my inner being in agreement with the way I am focusing? And when I'm full of resentment, what does that tell you? What's the clue? My inner being is not in agreement with my assessment of what happened. Well, is my inner being stupid? I remember it clearly. I was there. Why is my inner being trying to make sunshine out of something that was so rotten? And we say, because your inner being knew that in that contrast you were launching rockets, and your inner being immediately became the vibrational equivalent. Your inner being took the bounce. Your inner being received the gift. Your inner being received the expansion. Your inner being lived what you intended to live through the process, and your inner being remembers it all. All right, so that's what making peace with something is. It's that even though it was something unwanted, there was value that came from it, which I have the ability to focus upon right now. So if I want to be in alignment with the source within me, and I'm going to insist on thinking about the past, then I have to find a way of thinking about the past that matches the way my inner being thinks about the past. And my inner being revels in every piece of life experience that I have lived, because it contributed to this vortex version that my inner being is now living fully. Are you with us so far? So now let's take another run at it. So everything that I lived in my past, or even in my present, is causing an expansion of me for which the source within me is joyful. So if I just keep remembering that when I'm focused upon past, present, or future, that what I'm really wanting to pay attention to is whether I'm in alignment with my source, who is focused upon past, present, and future, but focused upon in a way that's helpful. If I care about how I feel, then I am able to come into full alignment with who I am. And that is what utilizing the power of now is. In other words, you're not really utilizing the power of now if you've got yourself pinched off from the larger part of you who is utilizing the power of right now. You get what we're talking about? You are source energy who loves. In a moment that you're not loving, whether you're not loving about something that happened in the past, or whether you're not loving about something that happened just now, or whether you're not loving about something that you're worried about, if you're not loving, then you are not allowing yourself to live as you have intended to live. And it's that deprivation that equals negative emotion every single time. So why do we call it the past? Well, because it was before now. And why do we call it the future? Well, because it's after now. But isn't it a continuum? And is there really anything other than now? Do you agree with that? Is there anything other than now? Everything you're offering vibrationally is at the basis of all your attraction. So you could not be more accountable, because you can't get separate from what you're vibrating. In other words, one day, Esther was walking back through the kitchen to her sleeping room and had left her microphone on. And she was chatting with Karen, and everyone in the room was hearing the conversation, or everyone who was listening. And Tracy, who is watching the live stream back in Texas, called Esther's phone and said, "Mom, your phone's on." And Esther pondered what she'd been saying, what she'd been thinking. She was very high and happy. She wasn't worried about it. But then Tracy said, "You know, maybe we should always pretend like our microphone is on." And we say, it always is. But monitoring your verbal output isn't enough, because you're radiating your output constantly, and the universe is responding. And that's what we call accountable. In other words, you just can't not do that. Now, we know what you're talking about in a slightly different context. You're saying, if you say you're going to do something, do it. And if you make a commitment to be on time, then be on time and be accountable. But we would like to put a law-based conceptual slant on this by saying to you, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would be accountable to one thing and one thing only, and that would be our alignment with our source. We would not be trying to please that one or that one or that one or that one, even if it's an employer that is threatening with some sort of power of termination. Because in the long run, if you are always true to who you are, which means you're always choosing the uplifting thought, you're always reaching for the feeling of alignment, that is a form of accountability that will serve you so well that any other form of accountability is irrelevant. And why is that so? Because all through life, you've been saying, don't like that better, don't like that better. The moment someone was rude to you, you put something very opposite of that in your vortex. When someone didn't believe in you, you put something very opposite of that in your vortex. When someone was mean to somebody else, you put something very different than that in your vortex. In other words, you have created a version of life that the source within you is resonating with and holding in vibrational resonance. You can count on that accountability. You can count on the source within you never deviating from that. Here's the way it works. Life has caused you to already launch your rocket of desire. Whether you are consciously speaking about it or not, there is a collection of all that you want that is spinning vibrationally and attracting. And when you become a match to that, then the manifestation must occur. What trips most people up is that in the wanting of something that they don't have, their awareness of not having it is too significant a part of the mix. So when they think of what they want, what they're really focused upon is the absence of it. So it just holds them there, you see. That's why we're trying to convince you to let the manifestation that you're looking for be the one that you can redeem right now. Be the one that you can get right now. That you want the manifestation of the feeling. So in a very direct answer to your question, we would say the manifestation that we would be seeking constantly if we were standing in your physical shoes would be the manifestation of a really good feeling emotion, whether it's one of interest or one of fun or one of love or one of appreciation or one of passion. We'd be looking for that feeling. That would be the goal that we would set. Step one is ask, and the contrast causes you to ask and ask and ask. Step two is source becomes the vibrational equivalent of what you've asked for. Source just doesn't answer. Source becomes the answer. And it's right there flowing to you and through you. So then you must become a vibrational match to what you've asked for. That's the